Jaja the bully Jaja. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Life Like Bunny. I am Bunny, the life that is of. Basically, today's video is me talking about how or the only way to avoid toxic shock syndrome. And this is like a series I'm doing on my channel about free bleeding. Basically, if you'd like to know more about that, just make sure you subscribe, like the video, comment down your thoughts as the videos goes along, explaining what toxic shock syndrome is. Basically, toxic shock syndrome is, let me actually Google exactly the definition before I explain what I think it is. Toxic shock syndrome. There we go. Quick meaning. Toxic shock syndrome is an acute onset illness characterized by fever, hypertension, sunburn-like rash, and end organ damage. TSS was classically associated with high absorbency tampon use in menstruation women until eventually these were taken off the market. Lies. They're saying it's associated with high absorption tampons that are no longer getting made. That's not true. It's, from what I've researched before, toxic shock syndrome is basically can happen to you at any point if you leave your tampon in for too long, if you leave it for longer than you should, basically. So for example, if you have light bleeding days and you put in a tampon anyway because I don't know, you've run out of your panty liners or anything like that, and you're at work and you happen not to get off your desk to go to the bathroom to change that, if it happens to go for like 5 or 6 hours, you risk the chances of getting toxic shock syndrome, which is insane because I don't know why we're using a product that is like risking something like that. I feel like it should not even be something that could happen, if you understand what I'm saying, guys. So me telling you guys, people that bleed, that the only way I've realized that would save us from toxic shock syndrome is free bleeding, basically using fabrics to, you know, stop the menstruation, or just straight up bleeding on a towel, because you don't have anything physically going inside you, which means you're not gonna run the risk of dehydrating your vagina, basically. So, and that's one of the causes of toxic shock syndrome, is because your inside there is not equilibrium. Yeah, equilibrium. Oh fuck me. Equilibriuming. Right. But yeah, so it dries you out and causes you to, you know, get toxic shock syndrome, which can lead to literally people getting their legs amputated, like both legs, one leg, or shit like that. Like, it is bad. It shows you how much you need to keep your punani by itself. Leave it alone. Don't do shit to your pussy. Like, even plugging in tampons is bad for you, and the only way you can guarantee that you're not gonna get that disease, basically, is to not use the tampons at all. Use something that's not gonna have to go inside you. And I know people say using diva cups is an alternative to tampons or whatever, but that's also plastic. I'm pretty sure it's leaving some microplastic inside you, which is arguably worse. But they're not doing research about it because they know they're gonna find some fucking nasty shit, so they rather not study it. I personally think nothing should be going inside you. The blood is supposed to be coming out. How are you doing putting something to stop it from coming out? You know what I mean, guys? It's going to only lead to problems, because it's not only blood, it's also the mucus in your vagina that needs to be in there. And the tampon is not only plugging the blood, it's plugging the mucus as well, and it's fucking with the stasis of your vagina. You should not be plugging yourself, because it's gonna lead to toxic shock syndrome, and the only way to stop that is to not plug yourself, is to free bleed. And I know people think it's inconvenient to free bleed, but it's inconvenient to have to use tampons too. It's inconvenient to have to use diva cups. It's inconvenient either way. It's just choosing your poison. One has literally zero risks if you choose the right fabrics. The other one has a chance of getting your legs amputated. No joke. And this is not me fear mongering, this is the truth. And a lot of women don't know that they run risks when they use tampons or things like this happening. And then later on they find out, and it's like a big shock when you're already diagnosed. It is fucked up. Especially like sometimes you just don't have access to change the tampons. You just don't. Now what? Now you're actually just nudging yourself closer to toxic shock syndrome. Okay, guys, people that bleed, try not to plague yourself because you risk this disease. And something I was going to say, because on one of my videos I posted the video about the fabrics I use while I free bleed, someone commented saying that they don't have the time or the energy to be changing over fabrics is too much of a faff. And my response to that is like, going and like having to pull out a tampon from inside you that usually sometimes get lost in there. Diva cups also get lost in there, where you have to literally get a second person to help you like pull it out. And you think that you have time for that and you have effort for that, versus literally just a fabric that it's just there, they're just gonna wash afterwards. Let's not delude ourselves. Free bleeding is the easier option. It's just we're trained to think that it's not, and we just need to retrain ourselves into thinking that it is the better option, so that we don't have to risk diseases like that. Because toxic shock syndrome is what I'm talking about right now, but I'm pretty sure there are way more diseases associated with these tampons that are usually bleached tampons. The pads, that bleached pads, it's literally little bleach leaking inside you. It is not okay. It's not okay. And in the last video I talked about, it's probably why we get our cramps exacerbated. It's because of shit like this. Because I've noticed that ever since I've been free bleeding, I've been getting less cramped up tummy. And the idea of having to put a tampon in right now feels like horrible. The only instance where I feel like I have no choice but to use a tampon is when you're like on a flight or something like that, because those bathrooms are so small, it's hard to deal with the fabric removing and putting back in and stuff like that. But other than that, guys, I think we should all be seriously considering it. Seriously considering switching up and just telling these tampon corporations and stuff like that to give us fabric options. Like, for example, the ones I use, there's a video I'll link somewhere. Imagine if they got sold already folded like that. You know what I mean? And if you put it in the wash, it can wash out really well and nice, and I don't have to deal with it. I just wish just certain things were more catered to us than us having to basically use whatever it's given. Like bloody bleached tampons that are gonna cause your legs to get fucking amputated. It's disgusting. It is actually worrying me. The first time I heard about it, I think I was like 18. It blew my fucking mind. And I was like, what the fuck? Especially people with like ADHD, and you forget. You're like, oh shit. And tampons, they're meant to make you forget. Like, you just forget because you don't even interact with your menstruation with them. You barely do. You just interact with like, remove, It makes you think that your period is disgusting. You know what I mean? Because it's mixed in with a disgusting thing. But other than that, a fabric, we all have fabrics, we have clothes. You don't think it's as disgusting because blood is in a cloth versus blood in a tampon that you're supposed to dispose of. It's a completely different psychological thing that I think, guys, you should try out and just experiment with it. That's it. That's my tidbit for today. Do not forget to like the video, subscribe if you've not subscribed yet, comment your thoughts down below. What do you think about free bleeding? Have you tried free bleeding before? Did you know about toxic shock syndrome? Did you know what causes toxic shock syndrome? I hope no one has suffered from it, but if you have, comment down, tell me what your experience is. If you came close, tell me your experiences down below in the comment section below, because I would love to know. Do not forget to share the video to whoever will find it useful, and don't forget to try out free bleeding. Pussy, suck dick, and everything too. And one thing I was gonna say, if you cannot do like the whole cycle free bleeding, try at least one day. Try free bleeding the last day. Try like just say the heavy period days. I'll use the tampons, but then I'll scale down, and then you see the difference in it. But that's it, guys. Bye bye. Pussy, suck dick, and everything in between.